just ghost to you.
The people can see you now, Ryan Turford. Hello.
The people can see me
Hello
now.
to the people.
Breaking news in internet land, Sean. I don't know if you saw this news story that just broke not too long before we started recording this, but Meta has announced that legs are in fact coming to the metaverse. So your avatar will now officially be able to have legs in the metaverse, Sean. Can you believe it?
I don't know how I feel about I don't want that. I think fewer appendages the better is my long-time stance on this, Ryan. As you know, we've talked about this many, many times. I don't want to look down and see appendages in VR, okay?
Yeah. Well, what about? Don't you want to know what's on the bottom of an avatar's shoe, Sean? Don't you remember that from the that E3 press conference for Xbox?
No.
Like they did this whole segment about looking on the bottom of your avatar's shoe.
I thought
that was a thing.
I thought like seeing limbs was like tricky in any case. Like I feel like that's why we have like the floating hands is because they couldn't figure out like how your arms were going to be, and that was jarring for the brain to kind of sort out.
Yeah. Well, especially too, because they'd also have to figure out, well, okay, your arms do this in a certain situation, and they'd have to program all that.
It would never match. It would make you get a nosebleed.
It would be weird. It would just break your brain.
Yeah. So how are they going to figure that out with? No, I don't know.
Look, these are not questions for us to answer, Sean. The only thing we need to figure out is how we're going to own all these NFTs. More like
I don't think that's.
I'm not going. How did we even get on this?
I don't know. This had nothing to do with NFTs. I wanted to ask you. Before we get into it, that we need to talk about Extra Life. We absolutely need to talk about Extra Life on this.
I mean, it's on the docket for things to talk about.
We had big updates, man. We got big updates, and I have to. You got big updates. Kevin is in the chat. It's gonna ruin things for me if I get out of Discord or whatever. Kevin, can you copy and paste that URL that I've created for our Extra Life thing? Because it's something like. /save the carpool trophy. I think that's what it is. So extra-life.org/participant/save the carpool trophy. Because we're all together. Thank you, Kevin. And we've got big prizes to announce, man. Big prizes.
Big. Are we actually going to announce the prizes today, Sean?
I think we have enough. We have enough prizes. And Badbit came up with a massive prize. Still more to come. But we're ready to make a big deal about it. And I wanted to lift my drink tray to that. Lift your drink tray.
I'll put the link to it in the show notes as well. So that'll go live in the podcast feed. Although I'll put it in the YouTube description now while we're doing this. While I've got it on.
I've said it now, but obviously I'll forget when we're doing the show.
Oh, of course, Sean.
Oh man, all right. Should we do the thing?
We should probably do the thing. I have added the Extra Life link to our YouTube description, and we are, I think, ready to roll with this car, Sean.
Hey everyone, it's me, Sean Capri. I'm glad you're here because you're listening to the most horsepowerful podcast on the internet. It's the Xbox Drive. I'm on a Skype call with my friend Ryan Turford. He's the weatherman on the moose, and on our journey today, we got stuff about Extra Life to talk about, actually. And Forza Horizon turns 10. That's a great pun that Ryan made up. So let's jump on in to the Xbox Drive.
Greater than X.
Forza Horizon turns 10. Ryan, you clever son of a gun. What a great title for this episode. How are you doing, my friend?
I mean, I'm not going to lie, Sean. I'm dying a little bit inside because during the intro, you were doing these kung fu kind of moves.
It's my Keanu Reeves. He kind of just does the...
Well, the reason I'm dying inside, Sean, is because last night I watched the hit movie Halloween Resurrection, starring Busta Rhymes and Tyra Banks. And in the movie, Busta Rhymes' character is the head of this reality TV show that's trying to scare a bunch of teenagers in this house. And they go to the Michael Myers house to go investigate. And he's a kung fu enthusiast. He watches a bunch of, Jackie Chan movies and stuff. So when it's time to fight Michael Myers, of course, Busta Rhymes breaks out the kung fu.
Heck yeah.
Fight Michael Myers in one of the most egregious moments in film history. And it's awful in all the best ways possible.
Amazing.
So that's exactly what you were just reminded me of, Sean, of Busta Rhymes doing kung fu.
Nobody's tried it yet. Everybody's tried everything else against Michael Myers. Who's got kung fu against him? Maybe.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert, it didn't work.
Didn't work.
Didn't do anything.
Can't judo chop Michael Myers.
You can judo chop him all you want, but he just keeps going.
That needs to be a fighting game. That needs to be the next Smash game. I know all the horror and 80s properties have their the run away from the killer kind of games. I don't even know what you call those, the asymmetrical multiplayer things.
Yeah.
But we need a fighting game with all the hack and slashers.
Well, I'm glad that you brought it up, Sean, because Mortal Kombat 10 has exactly what I'm thinking in it.
Oh, there you go. That's right.
Along with Jason.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, you have two of the three horror icons right there. It's only a shame that they couldn't bring Freddy back again, because Freddy was in Mortal Kombat 9. Because then you could have had the three of them fighting each other.
That's all you need. Nice. All right. Yeah. Well,
because Mortal Kombat 10's DLC theme was horror characters, and then from the 80s, and then Mortal Kombat 11 did just 80s action characters. So that's where we got the Terminator versus Rambo versus a bunch of different 80s action.
It's all coming back to me now. Just like Celine Dion.
Coming back to you now. But how are you, Sean, now that I've told you how I'm feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling really good. We did our second episode of the Nintendo Drive last night, and it's kind of, we're settling in. We got a new show. It's a new format, new co-host. It's all nice, man. I've got my drinks. I've got, why don't I tell you about the weather? How about I could talk to you about whatever.
You could.
Wouldn't that be annoying?
Is outside your place?
No idea. I've been in my basement since this morning. I have no clue what it's like outside.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sean. It's a brisk 18 degrees here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Slightly cloudy outside with about a 40% chance of precipitation this afternoon. But who knows? Maybe it'll part throughout the day. But, going down to 7 degrees tonight, Sean. Cool.
Ryan, I went to the bookstore and I bought a bunch of magazines. One of them that I will reference basically for the next 100 weeks or so, I'm sure. One of them is 100 video games that you need to play before you die, which I think is kind of dark, but I get what they're going at. Like, it's kind of like a bucket list here. You and I off air just went through a few of these. StarCraft, not on here. Wave Race, not on here. Also, you know what else isn't on here? Just so you know, Kevin Ainsworth and crew. Banjo-Kazooie, not one of 100 games that you need to play before you die.
It's almost like you can just play Super Mario 64 and then you never have to play Banjo-Kazooie ever again.
You're good. So take that.
Also, I don't know how much credit I can give that magazine, because they told you need to play Command & Conquer, but not StarCraft.
I know, right? I just discredit it, and then I say that Banjo isn't in there, so maybe that's all you need to know about it.
Maybe that's all you need to know.
I'm geeking out about my magazines, man.
Maybe Sean just hates Banjo. Who knows?
I actually don't. It's just fun to I have no strong feelings against it one way or another, but it's fun.
Yeah,
it's a fun thing we got going on right now.
Anyways, Sean, I should get the show back on track because we got to clean the garage a little bit. So, folks at home, if you want to support the show, there's a number of awesome ways to do that. Number one, if you're watching the live stream right meow over at youtube.com/carpoolgaming, or if you're watching the video on demand later, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and then ding, 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 ring that bell to be notified whenever we go live or whenever we put up a new video. Like all the reviews that I did this week, because I did reviews for Valkyrie Elysium and the Dealful Chronicle, so you go check those out on the YouTubes as well. Also, if you're listening on audio feeds, don't forget to subscribe to us there, and don't forget to rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or Spotify if you're listening on those platforms. If you want this show and some of our other shows a little bit early, or some exclusive content, head on over to Patreon, patreon.com/carpoolgaming. Throw a little tip in the old tip jar, and out comes content, just like Anna Hudak did.
Yeah.
For joining the Patreon. And then also, if you want an Xbox Drive t-shirt or any other Carpool Gaming merchandise, head over to our merch store, bit.ly/CPG merch. And then last but not least, Sean, we got to talk about this one. Extra Life is 24 days away from the day we were recording this. So November 5th, I think, right? In Rome, New York. The Saturday, 25 straight hours from 10 a.m. to 10 a.m. again. Sean's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Other people are going to be there. But Sean, we can finally start talking about prizes and other things. So hit me with those sweet details.
I'm going to start off with the other things, Ryan. I don't know if you're as excited about this than I am, but we have secured a couch. We have like a gigantic couch that we're going to be playing on. It looks super comfy. There's like a rental place nearby that we're going to get a couch and a 50-inch TV. And I just want to say this isn't on the page yet that I'm going to be directing people to in a second. We will have donation challenges to cram as many people onto this couch as humanly possible. And I am so looking forward to that. Mainly just so that I can sit on Joseph Moran from the trophy room. Just like we're going to stomp all over him in the Fantasy Critic League. But I'm excited about that. Thanks to Lee Navarro, who's really leading the charge on this and dealing with a lot of us crazy content creators who are all descending upon Rome, New York. We're going to be there. The Nintendo dads are going to be there. The Nintendo pals are going to be there. The Nintendo brothers and sisters and whoever the heck else, the whole like Nintendo family, they're all going to be there. But us specifically, Carpool Gaming, we are teaming up. We are joining forces with Mr. Badbit, Mr. K-Step from the Trophy Room, and the crew over at Save the Game Media. We're going to try and raise maybe $1,000. No, maybe $2,000, maybe $5,000, Ryan. We got an ambitious goal, but the three of us together, with our forces combined, we are the Megazord of Extra Life fundraisers. We're going to do it. And a couple things. We've got great prizes, which I'll get to in a second. But a very good friend of mine, very good friend of the community, leader of the Backtrackers, co-leader, I should say, along with Delroy. Marcus O'Neill, his son is attending and going through many treatments and procedures at the Stollery Children's Hospital right here in Edmonton, Alberta. They call it Hotel Stollery. This kid is a fighter, man, and he's just an absolute inspiration. We are dedicating our fundraising effort in honor of Miles and all the work that's being done with him and for him at the hospital. This is what Extra Life is all about. We get really excited about the video games. We get really excited about Rome, New York, and touching each other and all that other weird stuff. But really, at the end of the day, we are here to raise money for sick kids across Children's Miracle Network hospitals across Canada and the US, and I think that might be it. But we're dedicating this year. Our efforts we're thinking of Miles the entire time. So a really important reason why people might want to consider donating to our page, which you can find at extra-life.org/participant/ get this, Save the Carpool Trophy. All of us combined in one place, which I'm so excited about. Ryan, and the last thing, prizes. We got prizes, okay? About 24 hours ago, the number one prize on the page was, we've got Game Pass. Of course we have Game Pass. We gave away Game Pass last year. We're giving away Game Pass this year. That's great. But just this morning, Mr. Badbit of the Trophy Room, as questionable a human being as he can be at times, has really stepped up. And our number one prize right now is a copy or a delivery.
It's a big box. It's going to be like this.
God of War Ragnarok Collector's Edition, valued at $200, will be given away. And the way that you can win is donate at extra-life.org/participant/ save the carpool trophy. Every $10 you donate gets you one entry into these. You're eligible for all the prizes, and I'm stoked about it, man. There's more details on the page. People should definitely check it out. There's pictures of Miles on there. We're going to continue to share his story and his journey. We're doing it all for him. That's all I got to say. Did I miss anything?
No, that was very well said. First of all, Sean,
no notes.
I appreciate you going through it, but and not only that too. Speaking of prizes, we have prizes, but then also Phoenix Overdrive has its own set of prizes.
That's right.
Too, which again is all part of when you donate to us. You also donate to helping Phoenix Overdrive the team as well. So that all kind of pools together in like a prize pool there. But also, for someone at home who wants to get involved and maybe doesn't, can't donate or anything like that, but maybe wants to help the team or help children's hospitals in their own ways. Well, you can also join Extra Life as well, just by going to extra-life.org, signing up, and then joining Team Phoenix Overdrive with us. And then you can come help support the team and, pick your children's hospital of choice that you want to help raise money for, and then, do your own stream, or just a lot of people actually, again, don't even stream the 24 hours. They just play 24 hours and then fundraise with their friends, which I think is a perfectly good way of doing it too. So there's a number of great ways to get involved with, even if you don't have, bucks to toss to us specifically for, Save the Carpool Media.
Ryan is going to disappear from the couch for a little bit and take part in a Magic the Gathering tournament, which is happening. Like, you guys, it's going to be amazing. And I think I'm going to try to do our best job of, we're going to have a bunch of stuff on the stream, obviously. Oh, that's the one thing I forgot. We are restreaming. We're broadcasting to 3 places all at the same time, same place. So the couch that we're playing from, you can watch it at youtube.com/carpoolgaming. You can watch it at twitch.tv/PS Trophy Room or youtube.com/Save the Game Media. So yeah, it's an amazing partnership. I really feel proud when we're able to do this, where we go, who cares about the brands? Who cares about like who's top bill or whatever? We're doing it for the kids. We're doing it together. This is the best way for us all to share the same place to donate. Our community, Trophy Room community, Save the Game Media community, while there's tremendous crossover, we can still have everybody donate to the same place, all have the chance for the great prizes, and all for Mr. Miles, dude. So very, very cool. It's coming up.
Absolutely. And yeah, we'll have more details about other things to talk about over the next couple weeks as we get closer to the event. But enough about all that, Sean. It's time to grab our 8 tracks, pop them in. It is time for the playlist, and we got games, Sean. We got games. Do you want to start with Forza, and then we can talk about the game we both played together after that?
Yeah, I mean, just a quick update. Forza is continuing to dominate my life. I'm actually at the point now where I'm like, I've got 15 minutes, time for a daily. Like, I'm just like, I'm jumping in, I'm jumping out. And I also love, shout out to TPR and anybody else who's been messaging me saying like, I see you online. It's a weird thing, Ryan, to be noticed what you're playing, because I guess it shows up on Discord or whatever. So it's not like you got to look too far. Forza is amazing. I'm stoked to talk about the news on that in just a second. And last week, we jumped into Grounded. We said we were going to do it. Did. We totally did it. I love this game. This is not a matter of like the game. It's more of a matter of time, because last week's adventure that we did, and people can go back and watch our playthrough here at youtube.com/carpoolgaming. But we had Kevin, who actually knew what he was doing. And then we have Dave Moore, who would just get himself killed. Constantly.
He was just hanging out in the lab.
Dave just does whatever he wants to do. You know, we're all just trying to go to bed, and he's like, I want to hang out in the lab. And then a giant spider shows up and ruins our day. So, you know, you got to pick your teammates wisely, I suppose.
We did spend like half an hour of that 3-hour stream just hiding from one giant spider that just wouldn't leave us alone.
Yep. Yeah, the game is wonderful, honestly. I do want to jump into it a little bit more. It's tricky timing. I think I'm going to say that about pretty much every game that comes out between now and December 31st. It's tricky timing, so we'll see. But I had a great time playing it, man.
Yeah, same. I actually really enjoyed it. I haven't gone back to it since we played it that night. But this is the type of game that I'd rather just play with friends.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Play by myself. Mm-hmm. And to your point, Sean, about this being, kind of a busy time for it. I think it's tough to get a bunch of us together to play it, at the moment. But I think there will be a time either over the holidays or early next year where I think maybe we jump back into this.
I honestly think maybe Saturday. Like, here at youtube.com/carpoolgaming, we dedicate Saturday nights for community. I think I'm feeling Grounded maybe a little bit more than Splatoon, but I'm not sure. I kind of wanted to put that out there and see what kind of anger we get. And I know it can be confusing to people when we change things up. We did Halo Saturdays for the longest time, primarily so that people just knew Saturday was Halo Day. But I don't know. I don't know if I want to do Splatoon every single Saturday. I think Grounded is, like, I'm not just saying this, I really like it. I think that's maybe the only day that I can dedicate to that kind of thing. Tonight is Extra Life. Tonight I'm working on Extra Life stuff, so there's that. But.
Although, Sean, now I'm secretly, listening in to hear if I hear like a doorbell ring at your house. Now that you said that, because I'm expecting Chibi's just going to show up at your house and be like, what
I know they're going to track me down. I know.
Yeah. Well, as for me, Sean, I played a whole bunch of stuff, as you can tell from my, thing on the dock. Beyond Grounded, I played the NHL 23 EA Play trial for the game, which is out right now. So if you want to try out the first 10 hours of NHL 23 and you have Game Pass, it's right there. It's more NHL, so I mean, there's not too much to know about it beyond that. Like I played, I created my, female player for Be a Pro, which is kind of a new thing this year, and just really enjoyed, the opening hours of that experience. Playing through the AHL and then drafted to, a random NHL team. My player, of course, was drafted to the best team of all time, Sean, the Arizona Coyotes. Everyone.
I know you don't even mean that. I thought you were going to say something else. You definitely don't mean that. And no, hockey's back, by the way. So that's great you were playing that game. Hockey is back. True. I'm excited.
It's perfect timing because the opening night was last night, and of course I know Court was pretty happy with the Golden Knights winning last night. So good old hockey going on there.
He cares about the Golden Knights? What? Why?
Yeah. Well, he likes the Golden Knights and he likes the Bruins. So there you go. But then, beyond NHL 23, I played a ton a ton of Overwatch 2 last week.
Oh,
Yes, there were a ton of server problems for the first couple days. It was very hard to get in. Like, you would get in queue for Overwatch 2, and it's like, there are 50,000 people ahead of you in the queue. And you'd leave, I would just leave my console on for 3 hours, and it would actually make its way through the queue and get to, playing the game. But I honestly, Sean, with Overwatch 2, I had a blast with the game.
You must, because that sounds that sounds like a terrible experience. You must really be enjoying the game to go through all that other stuff.
It was only really the first couple days, and now when I turn it on, it's just I'm instantly.
You're good. Yeah. What about this mega account merging thing that's going on? Are you good there? Like I'm hearing stuff, Ryan.
So the thing is with that, number one, you could ahead of time, before Overwatch 2 came out, if you had the game on multiple platforms, you could merge the accounts together from different platforms if you had, signed into your Blizzard account with 2 different accounts, for example. And what you had to do ahead of time is go into Overwatch 1, just go to the account merging section and then just press, hey, I want to merge my account.
So this opportunity is gone. Like
No. There's a way to do it in Overwatch 2, but I'm just not sure how that process works. This is how I'm getting to it. Because since it already it did it on its own before,
I just heard it wasn't working. Like I'm not looking to how to do it. What I heard was that it wasn't working for people. Like
it worked perfectly for me.
Okay,
I didn't have any problems. Like all my skins, all my
nuts to everybody else. Then you did it wrong, probably.
No, I mean, I said it all before Overwatch 2 came out, and even the first day when there were all the server problems with Overwatch 2, like I didn't have any problem. And I have logged into the game on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. So to test it, because
you log in and they're like, "This is the Ryan Turford, the weatherman on the Moose." We gotta make sure it works for him.
Well, clearly, but yeah. So I loved how all that stuff carried over, especially too, because like the way you earn stuff in Overwatch 2 is a lot different from Overwatch 1, because as you know, in the first game you had loot boxes.
Yep.
Like it was the first game that really had, like, first popular game anyways, that had loot boxes in it. So with this one, they're doing a battle pass, just like every other free-to-play game that's out there now. So you have like a fixed set of rewards on the battle pass that you can earn, but you're not really like earning a lot of the skins outside of the battle pass unless you use real-world dollars to buy coins to then buy them, which it makes me sad a little bit, because we went from, in Overwatch 1, even though it was a loot box system, you weren't really getting duplicates of items that you already had. Like it always was guaranteed to give you items you didn't have. But then it also felt like everyone had different stuff in Overwatch 1, wherever it felt like you could customize a lot more, and everyone didn't have the same 1 or 2 skins for each of the characters. Whereas the battle pass, I feel like everyone's going to kind of end up with the same cosmetics, and then the people that really are going to stand out with different skins and stuff are the ones that have to pour real world dollars into the game. So it's more of a feel bad when it comes to that. But those complaints aside, the gameplay is super fun. I love the fact that it's 5-on-5 now, whereas before it was 6-on-6. So they basically to fix that, they removed one of the tank slots from your roster, so you have 1 tank, 2 damage dealers, and 2 support characters instead of 2 tanks. Because if you have 2 players on each team with very large health pools, it can kind of bog down games and stuff. So I like the flow of the gameplay so much more with Overwatch 2. They also reworked some of the characters that were like just not as fun to play with as, for example, Orisa, who is one of the tanks they introduced in the first Overwatch. They completely revamped her toolkit. So instead of her relying on this barrier that she'd shoot in front of her that was very weak, she has this spear that she can throw at enemies that if you hit them in the knee, it like stuns them. Or if you hit them in the head, it does like a critical hit and does extra damage. But then she also can spin like her staff to then reflect the bullets at enemies. So she's like a much more fun character to use. And they did that with a bunch of characters like Bastion, the guy who used to just be a turret before, can instead just turns into a tank instead of a turret and just goes around the battlefield as a tank, making tank noises. So I love the way that they reworked the old characters as well as the new characters that they added in Overwatch 2. And I've just been having a blast with this game.
Wow.
It's also just really fun, too, how they've added a Toronto map to Overwatch 2, Sean. And it feels like a Toronto map because it's on, like, New Queen Street West, and it takes place, like, in the TTC subway and then on the streets with the streetcars and stuff. And I love the love letter they have to that. And as well as New York City, they did one for for New York as well. That's like
and is that based on the esports? Are they even doing the esports thing anymore? Is that why Toronto, you think, like, would show up there? Like, because there's nothing else special about Toronto, obviously.
Well, they wanted to include a Canadian map because also one of the new heroes as well is a Canadian as well, and she's the very first Canadian hero.
That's cool.
In Overwatch. She's from Toronto, and actually one of the funniest bits of dialogue I've heard between her and another character, because they do that from time to time when. Before the matches, some of the characters will talk back and forth. And one of the ones was Lucio was in his hockey outfit. I guess the person who was playing had like the hockey outfit for Lucio. So Lucio asked, the new character about, how they felt about hockey. If they liked hockey, and they're like, "Oh, I'm more of a basketball person." And then Lucio responds, "Oh, so that just means you just don't like the Toronto team for hockey." And they're just like, no comment. So you can definitely tell they're like, of course, the Leafs fans are the way they are, and they had to incorporate that a little bit with this character. So,
nice.
Yeah. Overwatch 2, I've been having a blast with that. I've been really enjoying it, and I'll definitely be talking about it probably in the weeks to come, because I feel like this is going to be that game like Forza is for me, where it's just like,
yeah,
I've got some moments. I'm going to, hop in and do my 3 daily matches to get my Battle Pass XP, and then kind of move on to do other things for the day. And then, last but not least, Sean, your weekly Sims 4 update has arrived. Finally. Yeah, you've been chomping at the bit all week to find out more about what's happening in the world of The Sims 4. So, Sean, at this point, my character, I told you last week, last time on The Sims 4 update, my character was getting married again, because I proposed to, the love of my life, or at least I thought so.
No.
But what ends up happening with this game, Sean, is when my character goes to work, I then have my sim, go to work, and I follow them. Like, I actually take control of them while they're at the workplace.
Yeah.
Because that is one of the features in one of the new expansion packs.
Yes. Somehow I knew that.
Right. So what ends up happening is the other players in my household, because my fiance was in my household. While I was at work, taking care of herself, just automatically. I come home from work one day, and she's just flirting it up and kissing some other girl in my house. And I'm just like, no, this won't stand. But you know what? She's like, oh, well, it doesn't mean anything. I'm sure it's going to be fine. So then I go to work the next day, come back, they're in bed together. So I'm like, nope,
my gosh.
You're out of here. I don't know why the game keeps automatically doing this to me, even though, this character has been devoted to my character every time I've had, player control over this character. But I'm just like, no, it's over. So my marriage has been broken off, Sean.
Damn.
It's officially over. And now I'm, a singular bachelor once again, making YouTube videos and, making millions and millions of dollars.
Okay.
But my sim did win their first Academy Award for a movie role this week. Because I told you a couple weeks ago, they were in this musical Western. And my sim ended up winning an award for Best Actress.
You win some, you lose some, Ryan. I have a question. So the breakup happens, and you just let this person, like, aren't you a vampire or a werewolf or something like that?
I'm a werewolf, yes.
Did you not devour?
They were a mermaid.
Did you not devour this betrayal?
You don't get to eat people, Sean. It's The Sims. It's a game for families.
So you just go.
you send them on their way.
Hang on a second. A game for families? Didn't you just say that they were in bed? There's a no. No, it's not. You can devour them, or at least in your mindset. They don't let you kill other Sims in this intentionally. But would you, if the button was there? Would you click murder?
If the button was there, I probably would.
There it is. That's all I wanted to hear.
That's not what I did this time.
That's right.
Sean.
Yeah.
So
it's the thought that counts, Ryan. Everybody knows that.
So yeah, we'll see. We'll talk about more. Actually, probably we won't be talking about more of The Sims next week, because next week we're starting to get into the big week of games.
I know.
I don't know if you check the calendar, Sean. Next week is the week. Is the start, the kickoff of 4 straight weeks of like 4 or 5 big profile games every week. So, yeah, probably less Sims talk going on here. But enough about all this.
Lee says he needs more. Lee in the chat says, I need more, Ryan Turford. I want to try, by the way, I forgot to mention this while you're talking about Overwatch 2. Maybe the first time I play it is at Extra Life. I think that could be fun for us to do.
We could. What you can actually do with it too is we can do custom games with Overwatch 2. Yeah. So 5-on-5, just like
ooh, that'd be cool. Classic LAN party. Yeah, man. Guys, we're gonna get so nerdy. You guys have no idea. Oh my gosh.
pretty soon we're gonna have someone strapped to the ceiling, like that picture that went around of the like '90s Quake LAN party.
Oh yeah,
someone, like hanging up in the
ceiling, the keyboard and mouse and everything.
Yeah.
Yes. We're gonna have to add it to the list, Kevin. Add it to the list. All right.
Yeah. Well, without further ado, Sean, let's slam the brakes on this conversation. It's time for some breaking news. And yeah, it's not been a busy week in the world of Xbox news, but we got some stuff to talk about, including a new controller color, Sean. I don't know if this is deja vu for you as it is for me, but new controller color has been announced. It's the Xbox Wireless Controller Lunar Shift Special Edition. It's available right now, along with the Lunar Shift controller dock, so you can charge your controller as well. It's like a shiny chrome kind of color, Sean.
I think it's sweet. And shout out to everybody who tagged me about this, and because everybody knows I love space. So yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. I'm not sure that I'm in need for any more controllers. So I feel like anytime we announce one of these things, I think I'll just be like, it looks cool. I don't know. Yeah.
Lunar. Yeah, this is the type of controller look. I talked about this when we talked about the camo controller, I think either last week or the week before, where if they had this in design labs with the Elite, I would consider getting an Elite with this design because it looks really cool.
Yeah.
But because they do that with some of the alternate colors and camos and stuff. They bring them to design labs. So I would love to see that in design labs with an Elite controller when we get the Elite controller support later this year. Look out for that. Well, Sean, I know that you're excited to talk about this story, though. The Forza Horizon anniversary update for Forza Horizon 5 is live now. We talked about this on the show about a month ago, but they hadn't really given us any of the details of what was actually in it at the time.
So much stuff!
But there's a lot of stuff here. So it features a new Horizon story called Horizon Origins, midnight battles, a permanent radio station playing tracks from previous Forza Horizon games, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But yeah, the update is apparently live right now, although you said you were having trouble getting the update, or it's just not live.
It's not updating for me, and it keeps saying like it's going live on the 13th, so I don't know what to believe. I see people tagging me like it's updating for them. I think Hopple was in the Discord saying it was 10 gigabytes for them, so I'm excited. I'm actually like hard quitting out of the thing, launching it back up, like I'm checking for updates, like, no, you got the thing. I'm being obsessive about this, Ryan, as you can imagine, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, and again, I only said it's right now because that's what the article that we pulled up says. Like, it's available right now, so it's just, and it's from the Forza website too. So I mean, you would expect it's probably correct.
I must be doing something wrong, man. It's too bad because there's so much here, and I've done everything. Like when I go for the very first time, I think ever since Forza Horizon, maybe ever. I've done everything in every season, all 4 seasons. It's all done. I've got all the cars. I've maxed out. Like even this, there's a series. I don't know the last time that you looked at Forza. Like I've got all the cars for the series, which is like a whole bunch of points that you need to do. I'm playing Eliminator. I'm playing online. I'm playing every single mode and buying all these different cars and like, I think this game, every time I fire it up, I'm like, this is the bar, really. Like when we think, I don't know how else to really describe it. We keep wanting Halo to do its thing, and we look at PlayStation and all the great games that are over there. Like, this game is so polished, it's ridiculous. It's so good. I cannot find a crack in it at all, and I've been playing it a ton. I just love it, Ryan. And I need more. But the fact that this game turns 10, I really like that. And these anniversary cards that are coming, I kind of wish there was a little bit more, if I'm being totally honest on that, but maybe there's still more to come.
But also, I think, Sean, like, going back to the conversation we had about a month ago about this, like, this update is way more substantial than I thought, that we both thought it was going to be at the time. Because we, like, thought, oh, well, maybe they're just going to add, like, 1 or 2 cars and, like, one little thing to do, and then that's kind of it. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that they're pouring this much into this outside of expansions, and then we know we're getting another expansion that's still supposed to be coming out this year.
I know,
at some point, and they haven't even announced it yet, so... I think there's going to be lots of good stuff for Forza coming, and I'm glad that they're adding to the game with something like this as well, to give something back for, people that have stuck with the series for a while and having like a fun novelty thing. I'm also curious to know what songs are actually on the radio station playing songs from the other games too, because there's a lot of good songs from the Forza Horizon series, even going back to the first and second ones.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm looking, again, people are excited to probably check this one out. Again, I know I've talked about in the show where, open world racing games just don't do it for me, but I'm glad that this game's getting updated because, to your point, Sean, this is the quality to the max with a game like this, and I know that it's one of those flawless games that's out there, and you're not falling through the environment like I may have done once or twice in Overwatch 2 this week.
So, no, I'm looking at this like there's the way to find out more information, I think, is probably best going to the Forza Horizon Twitter, and they've got like the next season, which is going to be summer, and the first weekly challenge is dedicated to, I want to say Horizon 2, but maybe it is Horizon 1. But it was, because Horizon 1 was the one that was based in the US, actually. So it says, welcome to Colorado. It's got the Dodge Viper in there. Like, if people had been around with this series, like, there's going to be, it's a rare instance where Xbox gets to celebrate a little bit of nostalgia. So if you played Horizon back in the day, you're going to be struck with that a little bit. And I want to see more of that. Nostalgia is a bit of a drug, man. It's good stuff. I'm looking at these screenshots. I'm so excited. Holy cow.
Nice. Well, next up, speaking of getting excited, Xbox Cloud Gaming is coming to MetaQuest devices. So when they announced the MetaQuest 2 is coming during like a Meta event yesterday, Satya Nadella came on stage and talked about how Word and Excel are coming to VR. But more importantly, the Xbox Cloud Gaming streaming service is also coming to VR. It'll launch sometime on the MetaQuest store sometime in the future, so they didn't really give a release date for anything like that. But I think this is like interesting news because like I don't know how many people are really going to want to play like game streaming through a VR headset when it's just like a flat screen and it's not in VR itself. But I'm curious to know what you think about this, Sean.
Yeah, I think it speaks to the notion of, like, I hate even saying the word. It just seems gross to say, but like the whole, like the metaverse thing, like us living in a world that isn't our real one and we're like attached to like virtually. I think that this being a bit of a first mover on that, so you can go play games, it's the accessibility of it all as far as like it's there for you, I think is probably one of the biggest things. But then also that Game Pass is available on a totally different platform or ecosystem. I think like the case can be made that, for Windows, it makes sense because it's still Microsoft and all that kind of stuff. But even then, to go from Xbox as a console to the PC space and try to get something close to parity there, I think was a big deal. Now going beyond to Meta, which is not PC, like if you really think about it, it's not a Microsoft ecosystem. That to me was the biggest thing that jumped out to me. Thinking about now it's in Meta, now it's in Samsung TVs. I'm sure like LG will be around here somewhere. So we're starting to see like the early days of Game Pass being on things that aren't belonging to Xbox or Microsoft on this. So it makes me wonder about other platforms. We're not really going to cover too much else about there's an article that I discovered that it's not coming to PlayStation. That was a thing that possibly could have happened, but PlayStation said no. So it's interesting to see it in Meta, but not in PlayStation. And you can start to understand what the attempt is as far as the roadmap goes for Game Pass and cloud gaming.
Yeah, absolutely. Just getting these games into, new hands and getting, more Game Pass subscribers. I think it's going to help definitely bolster the Game Pass number. It just only is weird to me because, again, like I wish they would have done more with the interface because they just showed off the interface. It's just, the PC interface. Like I wonder if they could have done more with the interface itself with Game Pass, making it like a virtual application that you use. And then the games themselves are on like a big like movie screen in the way that like PSVR would display movies to you. Mm-hmm. But
I think this is a first step to that. This must be like the easiest things to port over to VR. But yeah, like imagine if you went into like Beauty and the Beast, the library in Beauty and the Beast, and you can get on your ladder and then like go over and pick a game off the shelf. I think that would be really neat. But yeah, it's something a little bit more immersive given that it is VR. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right. And last news story I wanted to touch on, Atlas have announced that Persona 3 Portable and Persona 4 Golden will arrive on Xbox One and Series X and S on Game Pass on January 19th, aka the day before Fire Emblem Engage, and then the week before Dead Space Remake. So
I quit.
I'm very excited about these games finally coming to Xbox. I'm so excited to replay Persona 3 on a modern console, but man, that's like the worst timing for these games to come out probably. But it's one of those things we'll get to when we get to them, I guess.
Ryan.
But what's up, Sean?
I know you just said that was the last story.
Uh-oh. What's the last story, Sean?
Phil Spencer took a picture of his room, and there's a console in there, Brian.
That's true.
Not a dongle, by the way. A little tiny console.
I don't know. It looks kind of like a dongle to me, Sean.
Yeah. It looks like a console to me. So, but I think Nagachaka might add a question about that, so I apologize if I jumped the gun.
He did. You did. You were skipping ahead a little bit. In fact, I'll just bring Nagachaka in right now since we're already on the subject, Sean. He asks, how many Xbox Keystone Cloud gaming devices do you plan on buying? We know it's real because Phil Spencer practically shoved it in our faces.
Seriously.
Also, how much do you think it's going to cost? So again, usually a lot of times when we don't have like complete stories that we generally don't tend to talk about them on the show, but come on. He literally had it on his shelf. We know it's there. People have wised up to this now too. We know to look for stuff on Phil Spencer's shelf at this point. But at the same time, Xbox, tweeted something out about this, saying, what did we talk about leaving design prototypes on your shelf? It's a possibility that, it might be forever that before this console comes out, or this might just be a prototype version and it might not even be what the final version even looks like.
Yeah.
So it might actually be a dongle, Sean, for all we know.
There's no way. It needs hardwired internet, and you need to be able to plug a controller into this thing or something. It needs a USB. It needs plugins, right? This is a Raspberry Pi, basically, is all this is.
But Stadia allowed you to play games with no Ethernet connection.
Sorry, what was that?
Stadia?
The platform that doesn't exist anymore, that they're refunding billions of dollars in hardware and software sales and everything. Yeah, keep going to the Stadia route.
You're taking at Stadia, Sean.
I don't have to take a shot at Stadia. They imploded.
But anyways, getting back to Nagachaka's question, honestly, I'm probably not going to buy one of these. It would be cool to have one, but I live in a very tiny apartment, so I don't really have any use for the functionality that this probably has, because I know for a lot of people that would probably want one, it's either like the audience would be people that don't have Xboxes or don't want to make the investment in buying an Xbox itself, but want to have access to the functionality of an Xbox, or two, people who have Xboxes in their houses but maybe want to stream games from their bedroom TV, and then not have to bring their Xbox upstairs. So I think that's a good model for a lot of people. But yeah, just I live in a tiny apartment, so I'm probably not going to buy one of these. But what about you, Sean? Since you actually live in a house, with kids.
Yes. Yeah, I think this one is fascinating, and I look where my Series S is, which is right next to me in this space. I usually use that to stream from, and I wonder, because the benefit, we keep missing this whole benefit of you don't have to download a game or you don't have to update it. It's just there. I am very curious to see if that's a practice or functionality that I would benefit from in this space here. It's going to be strange because we think about Game Pass and we think about downloading the games. That was always the benefit of Game Pass itself over whatever Gaikai stuff that they had happening over at PlayStation. You can download it and run it off main hardware. We're now 5 or 6 years later, and so I'm wondering about that. I'm dedicated on this hardlined internet thing. It's got to be I'm not trusting streaming video games to Wi-Fi. That's just me. So I'm glad to see that this is probably some sort of a dongle. But I'm more curious than anything. And yeah, I've got my Series X next to my TV. That it cannot replace that. I don't think. But here, streaming games from here, it could be a little something.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and yeah, you're right. I don't know how much I would trust this over Wi-Fi, especially in your household, especially if you use this in your your basement or something.
Right.
Probably not the wisest move. But
I don't think
anyways.
so. How much does it cost? Is that what the other part of the question?
I guess he was asking how much we would predict it would cost, and I'm going to say $99.
Wow. I feel like I have predicted this somewhere before. Let me see if I can find my E3 predictions.
When this came up before 6 months ago.
I think it was part of my E3 predictions actually. I might pop this up and we'll see.
God. All right. Well, while Sean does that, I'm going to bring in another kind of quick fire question before we get to Anna.
149 US. I predicted 149 USD.
Are you sticking with that?
Yes, I'm going to stick. I don't want to be all over the place. It comes with some Game Pass codes as well. So I'm with that.
Okay. I'm still thinking $99 and then 149 Canadian probably is how that works.
Yeah.
But all right, next question. I want to do a quick one before we get to Anna's question. We got Skinny Matt here who says, what will it take for either Sean Capri or Ryan Tuford to play Sea of Thieves with me in Rome, New York? Now, here's the thing, Sean. Normally, my answer to this question would always be, heck no, this would never happen. But Skinny Matt has been so good to us with community game nights, combined with the fact that it's Extra Life,
it's just going to be a no thanks.
I am more willing to bend on this instead of just saying no flat out. But what do you think?
No.
No?
But I have to continue.
Is it because you want to bury Skinny Matt? What's going on here?
Yeah, we'll get into our fundraising competitions in the future. Stay tuned for that. People who know, you know. No, see, there's a tradition at Extra Life in Rome that was started by the late great Bobby Pauls, and it was actually Skinny Matt's son Preston goes to Bobby and says, "Hey Bobby, can we play 50cc in Mario Kart?" And Bobby just turns around, looks at him dead in the eye, and goes, "No." And it was amazing. Just shuts the door. So I'm continuing it on. Absolutely no Sea of Thieves.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
You heard it here first, Skinny Matt. I tried. I'm sorry.
Come up with some sort of fundraising goal. Maybe then we can talk. But I don't know, man. I don't want to play Sea of Thieves. God.
Yeah. I mean, I don't either. I'm
trying to stay awake for 24 hours. You know what I mean? Not fall asleep on the TV and slobber all over Ryan's shoulder.
Although, yeah, I kid about that. You kid about that, Sean, but it might have to end up being in the middle of the night because who the heck knows how long the Magic the Gathering tournament goes for. I might be there for like half the day.
Ryan's just gone.
I'm just gone. I'm just playing cards.
Fair enough, man. You do you.
Well, all right. Let's bring Anna Hudak's question in from last week, which we promised we would answer this week, Sean.
Oh, yeah.
This was a long question.
Oh, yes.
Anna asks, so starting on October 4th, 6 weeks of celebration on Xbox began for these 5 franchises celebrating major milestones: Flight Simulator, Forza Horizon, Age of Empires, Fallout, and Dishonored. What are some of your favorite memories from any of these franchises, or which franchises brings back the most gaming memories? Which of these do you enjoy the most? So a lot to unpack here, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, for me, I don't have a lot to say about this, and I'll tell you why. You know, of most of the franchises that are on this list, I'm personally just not super into a lot of them. You know,
how dare you?
Flight Simulator, for example, is one that, you know, my dad had on floppy disk back in the day.
Yep, same.
Or I would always go over to a friend's house and their like parents would have Flight Simulator. I would try those games and never be into them. Mm-hmm. So I don't really have like a lot of good memories playing Flight Simulator. Even the newest Flight Simulator, which I admit is a really, you know, high quality game, but I'm the first person to admit that game's not for me and not something that I'm super into. Same with Dishonored, because Dishonored kind of falls into that camp as well. Like, I know a lot of people love the Dishonored series, but I've just never really been into those games. I love the world and the lore of those games, but I just don't like the act of playing them at all. So that kind of falls into that camp. And then Forza Horizon, I've talked about my stance on Forza Horizon on the show before plenty of times. You don't need to hear that again. So that's 3 out of the 5 franchises right there mentioned. I just knocked off this list. But what about you, Sean, before I get into my stories about Age of Empires and Fallout?
Ryan Turford, how dare you? How could you?
It's fine.
Forza Horizon is one that actually, I think, carries the baton from a game even further back than Forza Horizon, which is Project Gotham Racing, which is where racing games on consoles really took hold for me. Prior to that, I was playing like Need for Speed on PC and whatnot. But I've always kind of had this Forza Horizon kick that I'm on right now has a deep history that I haven't been podcasting for long enough to really have brought people along on this journey. Forza Horizon 3 is where it was really the breakout for me in this series. And it was the first time that I ever got up early to play a game before work. I've never done that before. It was Forza Horizon 3, like based in Australia, just one of the, like, totally just taking everything from the first 2 games, but making it like super fun and looked great and all these things. That's a game I poured so many hours into. Forza Horizon 4 somehow missed the mark for me, and I'm not sure. I don't want to blame it completely on the location, but I think it might be the location. Mexico is just such a party place. Australia seems like a party place, and like you're stopping for tea and biscuits, I guess, in Forza Horizon.
Well, you're also just driving through so many fences.
That's exactly how I like my memory, my mind's eye. When I think Forza Horizon 4, it's like, yeah, cobblestone fences and all your various fences and rolling hills and not hitting sheep and goat or whatever. So that one definitely stands out. Fallout 3 is special to me because it was one of, if not the first RPG game that I played where I'm like, oh, I can play these games. Like I had watched Neighbor Matt and people around me play games like Final Fantasy and all these other very complicated, or in my mind, very complicated role-playing games. And I went through Fallout 3 meticulously and fell in love. Again, location was a huge deal with that. The premise of it I thought was amazing. And being able to then visit Washington, D.C. a couple of years later was like, man, that game's experience is really locked in my brain. Unlike most others where you play a game, like you guys know me, like I bounced from one game to the next to the next. Fallout 3 really sticks. And then for Fallout 4, and actually Fallout, Fallout 76, like there's a number there. That Fallout 76, we actually purchased the collectors, like the massive collector's edition with the backpack that was wrong at first and the power armor helmet. I bought that for my wife because we played it together, but she kept going with it, man. She's like platinum that game like twice over somehow. So Fallout's actually very special in this household. I really adore that series, and I'd love to go back all the way to the CRPG kind of days, but Fallout 3 is... I think you guys have talked about it on the RPG Cave as well. Fallout 3 is real good.
Well, yeah, likewise. Like that's why I'm not going to dive too much into Fallout, because honestly, like if you want to hear me talk about Fallout 3 and just my memories with Fallout a lot, go listen to the RPG Cave episode that Garrett and I, did a few weeks ago. Because I think that does a really good job of summarizing how I feel about Fallout. Because Fallout 3 was also a very special game to me as well. And I just remember really, really enjoying that game. And I'm just going to touch on Age of Empires real quick. Like I played, the first two Age of Empires games and really, really enjoyed them. Age of Empires 2, Age of Kings, especially, like I sunk so much time into that game because it's a real-time strategy game that I, really enjoyed. Although it's kind of like third tier, real-time strategy series for me, because I still prefer Command and Conquer and, StarCraft/Warcraft 2.
Yeah.
Age of Empires. But I do remember sinking tons of time into Age of Empires 2 and having a great time with it. But it's just the newer games I just haven't really get into. And we'll talk about that when we get to a question in just a second from someone.
I just want to touch on Age of Empires before we move on. In that, sure. For me, it was notable in that it was really the first time, at least to my memory, that I saw like Microsoft Studios or Microsoft Game Studios, and that it was linked to a game that was of that quality. And like that actually seemed to mean something maybe for the first time. I'm sure Flight Simulator, I think, is actually the first one, but Age of Empires is like a big deal, especially Age of Empires 2. Just an absolute like leap over the first one, I would say. And to see Microsoft attached to that, I thought was kind of interesting, because I always knew them as Windows and Word and Excel, and suddenly here they are pushing out this massive game.
Yeah, that was around the time too when they were making a push with a lot of new franchises.
Yeah, gaming on Windows was shortly after that. And you have to remember, when Age of Empires came out, that space was so crowded. Every game was a real-time strategy game. They put that stuff on everything. You had all the games you mentioned, Total Annihilation, a bunch of everything was a real-time strategy game. So for this one to stand out is a big deal.
For sure. Well, next up, the Muffin Mon asks, is there a genre of game you used to like, but as you've gotten older, you found yourself playing less? And actually, again, this is what I was kind of hinting at. I like real-time strategy games a lot, but you know what's franchise I'm not playing nearly as much as I used to? It's real-time strategy games. Yeah. But, Sean and I had this conversation actually on an episode of We the GamerCast that I was on with Sean, where I talked about how I used to actually play, StarCraft 2, professionally, and I was in Pro League for StarCraft 2 for the longest time. It's hard for me to go back and get super excited about new real-time strategy games now. And I think part of that is just due to how much time I sunk into playing StarCraft 2, or even the original StarCraft before that, when I wasn't, doing the pro thing. I just wasn't really, super, it's hard for me to get into new real-time strategy games now. So it's a game, it's a style of game that I still really like, but I'm just not playing nearly as much as I used to. And I think that's the one that fits the closest to this bill. But Sean, what about you? Is there a genre?
It's hard to compete with that one, man. I guess fighting games might be a pretty close second. Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat, all those games back in the day. I mean, Clay Fighter, just like real-time strategy games, I feel like fighting games were just trying to match the success of Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. You had everything was a fighting game back then. Tekken, Virtua Fighter, played a bunch of those things back in the day. And now I guess it's kind of for a similar reason, both require a bunch of time, and both require, you have to be very quick. I don't even like saying this. I don't even like answering this question, because I think it's an admittance to getting old and aging and being maybe too slow for some of these games. And whenever I have something that I have that realization, I'm going to dedicate everything I got to getting back into StarCraft, man. I can't let this go to the wayside. I want to play it. So there's campaigns, I think, is maybe the best way for me to go about doing that. I think it's the multiplayer competitive nature that is a little tough to get into. But dude, the StarCraft 2 campaigns are just like something else, like nothing else. Or even Brood War. I could go back to the original StarCraft and Brood War expansion.
Those are really good too. But next up, we got TPR, aka Taylor, who asks, if Ryan and Sean switch places for 25 minutes, what would you both do in that time? I know if I switch places with Ryan, I'd take a peek at his Sims 4 save. I had time to think about this one, Sean, for you, so I'll give you time to think about it.
I got my answer.
You know what I would do if I was Sean Capri for 25 minutes? I'd go to Sean Capri's shelf and open all of the stuff on his shelf and just take all of it out of the box. And then just leave it on the shelf. Because again, I got to make the most out of it. Because toys are meant to be open, Sean. They're not meant to be kept in the box all the time. Even though I've got, toys in the box on my shelf. That doesn't mean I can excuse you for that, Sean. So, but yeah, what about you? What would you do? I'm
stunned. That's not at all what I'm thinking. Like, you come in, you take my mind and my body and you destroy my home. Like,
Whoa. I wouldn't be destroying their home. I'd just be opening the boxes.
That is destroying my home. I would come back too. I would take over my body again and go, I've been robbed. I feel there's a violation there, Ryan. Oh my, True. I love this question, though. This is a great question. What I would do, because something that fascinates me about Ryan is what the heck is going on in that brain of yours. So I would spend the 25 minutes just trying to do as whatever I can to just get those thoughts onto paper. And I would have like your source code on the internet is what I'm trying to say. What is going on in there?
Source code. You don't want that out there.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I would write it down, put it in a Google Doc, and send it over to me so that I know your deepest, darkest secret. I don't even want to know the secrets. I want to know, like, how do you come up with, like, how do you remember the game of the year that you named in 2012 just off the top of your head? How do you come up with these things, these storylines for The Sims? Like, I want to know how this is all happening. That's what I would want. That's what I would do. I would leave all your precious belongings alone, but your inner thoughts are the world's to know. That's me.
That's true.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like I don't need to know the inner thoughts of Sean Capri. I feel like I know enough.
Yeah.
Sean Capri's inner thoughts already. You kind of wear them on your sleeve at this point, Sean. So you got no one to blame but yourself. That's why the amiibos get open. And to Kevin's point, you'd have so much more space on your shelf because all your amiibos would be free.
Now that might be, it might sound invasive. I'll have an alternative answer here too. What I might do if I had 25 minutes in Ryan's mind and body, I might just go outside and just see what happens.
Anything but that, Sean.
I might just see what happens, dude.
Oh my God. All right. Last question of the week comes to us from Blaze Knight, who asks, do you prefer when a game gets frequent updates and DLC without a sequel in sight, or only one or two big updates and then a sequel a few years later? Also, sim reveal when.
Yes.
So
when?
To answer Blaze Knight's question, honestly, I prefer when a game, it depends on the game, but I would say for most games, I prefer when they just get a sequel rather than getting lots of DLC and updates. Like, I don't love when a game gets a bunch of, story pass content to then go back to after I've already finished the game. Because it's harder to go back for a lot of those games. Like, sometimes I'll go back. Like, I'm excited to do the Stranger of Paradise DLC when it finishes next year. But I'm not going to do that for every game. So I always prefer when they come out with a sequel instead, even if I'm waiting longer for it. I think that's kind of my stance on this. But Sean, what do you think?
Can I sit on the fence? I think it depends on the game, actually. Like, for a game like Call of Duty, I like that there are sequels that I can go buy, especially with like campaigns and whatnot. But for a game like Forza Horizon, like, I'm good. They don't need to give me another Forza Horizon, especially with these great updates. But I don't know that necessarily like precludes like another game coming, like a Forza Horizon 6 that's located somewhere else. Like, I guess it just depends on what we even mean by this. Sometimes the updates can be quite substantial. The expansion packs can be substantial enough that they feel sequel enough. Destiny, I think, is a great example of this. So, I don't know. I guess if it's a franchise or a game that I love, I just want something new and exciting to get excited about on a frequent basis. I think both check off that box for me. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Like, this is the classic Animal Crossing conundrum that Kato used to talk about all the time, where she's like, she kind of wishes that they don't need to necessarily do a sequel to Animal Crossing.
No.
And it could just be a live service game that they keep updating every month.
As soon as you have like the bones of it, like the functionality and the quality of life stuff kind of sorted out, then more content. Yeah. Like, you don't need to, I feel like that's kind of where we're at with sequels now, is you're looking for updates on that front more than anything. Everything else seems to be like prettier, shinier, more content. So, but like sports games, give me updates on sports games. I don't want to, like, sequels for that are unnecessary.
For sure. Well, anyway, Sean, we got to go. But before we go, Sean, plugs go.
You can find me on Twitter at Sean Capri, Sean like Connery Capri like the pants. I'm doing a little dance to say like we got to go. But more importantly than going to my Twitter, that doesn't matter. That like it's nonsense over there. extra-life.org/participant/save the carpool trophy. Links are in the show notes. Donate. Every $10 gets you in to win Game Pass. I didn't mention, but also you can be added to my Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack family for a year.
Opening it up again.
Yes, we're doing it again. Or the number one prize, of course, that $200 God of War Ragnarok Collector's Edition, courtesy the Trophy Room. Let's do it for Miles. Let's get it done, you guys. It's going to be amazing. Extra Life is what I really want to make sure people focus on this week.
Very nice, my friend. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Ryan Turford. You can find us on Twitter at Carpool Gaming, on YouTube at youtube.com/Carpool Gaming, and on podcast services around the globe. So for Sean Capri, I'm Ryan Turford. This has been episode 261 of the Xbox Drive, and we out. Bah.
I was just thinking the other day when Ryan does his bah thing, he never really takes a deep enough breath, and you'd think that he just knows that I'm going to be going on for a long time. He would just take a deep enough breath that he could keep up for longer than like 3.5 seconds. Like, Ryan, you're way better than that. Come on, man, put it back into it. Let's go. See you guys next week. Bye, Bob.
No power greater than X.